Hey guys, today I'll be showing you another restoration project I've been working on, and this video is for Julian, who owns this nice 77 Minimoog here. So Julian, just going to go over it, show you that thing's functioning. For you guys that want to watch, feel free to watch. I always enjoy you guys watching. This is what I do, and I always like to make a video for my clients so they know exactly what they're getting back, And of course I sent Julian a lot of pictures throughout the restore. This was a little bit more of a complex unit because it had so much rigging in it. But I do that with all my clients that you guys don't really get to see. I like to just keep everybody in the loop when I'm working on their stuff. But anyways, Julian, just going to give you a walk around. I cleaned this one up really good, rebuilt the key bed assembly. Now your key bushings have actually been replaced. So they were actually still pretty good. I just re-lubed them, inspected the hammers, lubed them up, cleaned the key contacts, did a key alignment, and it's just a really good straight keyboard now. Cleaned the wood. Now this one's got a clear coat on it. By this era, 77, they start putting a clear coat on the wood. So it doesn't really soak in all the conditioning, but I mostly took care of the little places where the clear coats came off. And then I just kind of waxed it and polished it for you, just so it looks really nice. Somebody had glued this knob on. I could not get that knob off to save my life, and the pot's not damaged, so I didn't want to damage the pot trying to get that knob off. So it's like I said, it's the only issue I could not address because they've glued it on there pretty good, and I'm just not going to risk breaking the pot when it's not a problem. So I left that knob on there for you, and if you have any trouble in the future, then we'll cut it off and we'll replace the pot there, but it's definitely not a problem. But anyways, you can see the wood, how nice the wood looks. Cleaned the back panel real good. And this one was actually made 7/13/77. So it was made in July of 77. It's seal number 9105. And it just looks really good. It cleaned up really good. I also cleaned the under chassis for you. I put you some new rubber padding for your interface, so when you lay the padding, when you lay the interface down, it actually rests on this rubber padding. I don't know if you can see on my camera or not. So I can zoom in there. Maybe you can see that. There you go. So replaced all that rubber padding and took care of all of that. But anyways, I'll just kind of show you what came out of this thing too. So this is the old parts. Now, like I say, this thing had been super rigged, and somebody had wrote on there restored. It had not been restored. It was pretty much just repaired in a very, very, very poor manner. Somebody didn't know what they were doing. Basically, it comes down to somebody said, "Oh, yeah, I'm a technician. I can do stuff," and then it's like they don't understand nothing about, VCOs. So what they did, they took the Timco resistors out and they put in these big wire-wound power resistors, and you have no compensation. So the oscillators were just crap. I mean, they wouldn't do anything. And then you can see all this wiring in the bag with tape around it. So these wires, I just put them in the bag so you can see exactly what I pulled out of this crap. And what they had done is they had cut the connectors off for some reason, the St. John's connector for your LHC, and instead of just taking the time and desoldering all the wires on the 12-pin St. John's connector, oh no, they just stripped them back and tied them into the harness and then taped them. And so it was a mess. And that also brings back an oscillator issue. So the oscillators would not calibrate. They were always too low in frequency. So for example, when I go to 2 footage, I could not hit 3520 in frequency. It would go octave lower. And so what they had done in this particular unit is they put a 470 ohm resistor in there to compensate for this trim issue, which it wasn't a trim issue and it wasn't an oscillator problem. It was actually a harness problem because it didn't have the correct grounding, it didn't have the correct signal flow. So it was not getting all the voltage it needed to drive the oscillators, or all the current needed. And so when I rewired that, I cleaned all that up, and now it's all working correctly there. And also I did a few other things while I was in there. I actually downgraded this unit because it's a 77. In my opinion, they didn't sound as good. Around 74, late 74, they started actually changing things in the Minimoog at the factory. and it lost some of that growl. It lost some of that classic early Minimoog tone. So what I did to this particular is I actually downgraded it. So I made it actually sound like a earlier Minimoog, and I think you're going to be very, very happy with this thing. It's got that growl, it's got that richness, it's got that Rick Wakeman sound, and that's what I call it. Because if you're listening to like 6 Wives of Henry VIII, that really growly Minimoog, that's what this thing now sounds like. Also replaced your pitch and mod wheel with new old stock wheels. Your wheels had started cracking really bad. I also did the dead zone mod to make this thing have a true dead center in the pitch wheel, so you don't have any like sharps or flats when you're playing. I left your little switch here. This was actually something Julian had, I guess it was something that had been added later, because I can see things where it was another mod. But somebody made it into just a S-trig switch. So when you flip the switch, basically it just shorts out the S-trig, and then you got a continuous contour depending on how you have your contour set. But anyways, let me put the camera on the tripod and I'll walk you through this thing and just give you a good overview of it. Like I said, I think you're going to be really happy with this thing. I put a little bit more time in this one than I typically have to with Minimoogs. These last two Minimoogs have been a little bit different on my table as far as having to fix them up. But also did have to do a lot of changes to the to some resistor values because it actually did have some tolerance issues as well in the summing node, just like the last Minimoog. So it was some of the same issues that I had experienced with the other Minimoog with this one. But like I say, it's all cleaned up now. I took care of everything, and I think I'm going to be very, very happy with this thing. But I'll just kind of show you how this thing sounds first of all. I got all 3 oscillators set up, got the filter on. You're going to hear that nice rich growl. You're going to hear the filter do the saturation thing, which is what I refer to as the early Minimoog tone. It just does special things. There's some harmonics that come out with this downgrading I do. And so you're just going to hear just how great it sounds. But you can hear just how great it sounds, and I'll go through each oscillator so you can hear this. Open that filter back up. So here's oscillator 1. We'll just keep the decay switch off. I'll just go through the octaves here. Let me get this thing set where it'll sustain for me. So we'll go through the octaves, which you'll hear the octaves are well within tune now in all footages. I'll show you how waveforms work. Oscillator 1, oscillator 2. Oscillator 2, oscillator 3. There's all 3 oscillators together. You can have the oscillators interact really nicely. So you hear that's octave, that's in the footage 2 of all the oscillators. Close that filter up a little bit. sounds really great. So you can hear all that's working really well. We'll bring that back down. Anyways, you can hear your oscillators are working really well. I'll show you that the modulation bus works. I know I engaged it just a little bit on the first earlier on the part of this video, but we'll actually use oscillator 3 as a LFO source. We'll modulate the oscillator since we're talking about the oscillator section. So we'll go here and anyways, you can hear how that works. I got the oscillator tracking off, so we can put tracking on. Then we can get into Devo stuff, where you can go like... So it gets kind of fun there. But anyway, that's your oscillators with the with using the LFO 3. We can also modulate the filter. Then we get the FM synthesis. We can bring this back into a frequency range. Anyways, you can hear your modulation works. We can also use this pot here. Right now we're looking at oscillator 3. We can bring that in and bring in the noise into the modulation source. So we actually engage that into the filter. We can also engage that into the oscillators. So you can hear how that works. It's basically just a noise source in the modulation bus. So that's how that works. And also your filter track. So we'll turn the oscillators off here. 440 hertz on. Let's turn. See here. That's just your filter. Little FM synthesis there. But yeah, your filter tracks well. Your control modes work. So this is actually what engages your keyboard tracking of your filter. Right now it doesn't track. We got half track. And then we got another mode, and when they're together, see how that works. So that's your filter tracking. Your contour works as you've already heard, but we'll go over it. So I'll bring up the amount of contour here. It's just your VCF. It's your sustain level. So that's your decay time. It goes a long ways. Well, attack time will raise up attack for a slow attack. That's really high frequency. Let me bring that down a little bit. Anyways, you hear how that works. So your contour works for your filter. We'll turn the oscillators back on. That's a technique of bringing your sustain level up, keeping a low decay level, so you get that click. Anyways, you can hear how that works. So that's your filter, your contour for your filter. We'll go with loudness contour now so you can hear that. So open this filter back up. Turn decay off. We'll actually turn it back on here. So we're going to set up for a really fast decay time. So this will be just a click. You can hear. That's a really slow decay time. Of course, you can see I'm still holding a note, and you can use your sustain level. Kind of like the filter contour, you can actually get that nice little pop. So the classic, Moog beeps and blops there. But also your attack time works. And also, if you see the overload light came on, that's because my refrigerator just kicked on. Every Minimoog interferes with my refrigerator. So that overload light comes on whenever my refrigerator kicks on. That's normal. All of them do that. Including mine at the house. My refrigerator at the house will kick on and my overload light will flash. Anyways, you can hear all that's working. It's a really good sounding Minimoog. And I think I'll be really happy with this thing. But I'll also show you too, I didn't show your noise. So we'll actually it's just your noise. got to play a little Rick Wakeman on this thing. But anyways, Julian, just want to go over it, show you that everything's functioning. Just give you a good overview here. And like I said, I think you're going to be really happy with this thing. Also, I will show you this, that your switch is still active. So you can flip that switch and make it just sit there and drone. So if we set a decay time or sustain level up, set our decay time up, you can actually just flip the switch. We'll actually turn decay off for that. Love all these harmonics that come out of this thing. You can just hear it. It resonates right there. Anyways, you can hear just how great the resonance and everything stands out in those harmonics because of that downgrade I did to this particular unit. It's going to have a lot grittier, growlier tone, which also brings out a lot of the harmonics. And like I said, this is what you'd find in the earlier Minimoogs. In fact, whenever I do this downgrading, I actually compare it to my 72 Minimoog to make sure it has that same kind of flavor. And it requires rematching some components as well, so it's a rematch as well as some changes, some tolerance changes in components. Or not tolerance changes, but actually the value changes to make it have this kind of sound. But anyways, just thought you might enjoy that little snippet of droning there. But anyways, take care guys, appreciate you watching, and there'll be more to come. Got another really exciting one coming here pretty soon, which I'm excited about, and I know you guys will be too. But anyways, we'll talk to you soon. Take care.